to you through your emotions is he's in it. Be still, right? That be at peace. And then sometimes you will go to a place, everything on paper looks amazing, but there is this like irky feeling, this disruption in your spirit, because the Holy Spirit is communicating to you that he is not in this, he is not for it. And so you sense his voice through your emotions, right? Then there's the knowers. The knowers are those that it's almost like the Lord, he shares his thoughts with you, when the Holy Spirit shares his thoughts with you. And so there are things that you just know to do. It's not that you can't really pinpoint that I had a dream, I had a vision. There is just a knowing I must do this. And oftentimes this is accompanied by the gift of faith. When you just have this ridiculous faith to do something and it makes absolute sense to you. You didn't have a dream about it. It's not like you had a word about it, but you just know that if I do this, then it will work. And you're willing to risk it all to do this. The Holy Spirit is sharing his knowledge with you about a direction he's called you in, right? And then there are the hearers. And you can hear, and there are two ways you can hear. One is more rare and the other is more common. So you can hear audibly, right? There's experiences with hearing the audible voice of God. And that's when literally the Holy Spirit just, penetrates your earwaves to get a message to you. And there's when you hear him from just like your inner voice, right? That's when people talk about the voice in their head outside of their own, and the Holy Spirit is guiding you and teaching you. And so we go into this extensively. But then there's the seers. Now, the seers are those who experience visions and dreams. It's so interesting in the Bible, dreams are also known as visions of the night, right? And so this is now where through you realize that not everything you see is all that there is. Right. That is why sometimes in the Bible, you see when it would say, and the Lord opened his eyes and then he saw, boom. And so what you're seeing in the natural realm is not all that there is. There is spiritual activities happening all around you. But beyond that, you can have a vision where all of a sudden it's almost like the same way that you can engage with your imagination, that the Lord can bring you into a place and you're seeing it play out. And he's showing you about events to come or about something that you need to pay attention to in present time. And then obviously you have dreams when you're in a sleeping state. Now, dreams are so unique because in a dream, you can experience all things at the same time. In a dream, you can feel, you can know, you can hear, you can see. All experiences come together at once. This is the unique place about the seeing realm and about dreams, particularly. Now, I love this so much because even when I was doing research in the natural, right, it is said that the natural sight perceives up to 80% of all sensory impressions. And for this reason, scientists regard it as the most important of all human senses, the natural sight. But this is only a reflection of spiritual sight. Spiritual sight holds so much significance because you're experiencing everything. You can experience it all at once, right? And the beauty is, even though, and the seeing realm is so beautiful because even though you don't have 20/20 eyesight, right? Do you know that blind people dream? I thought that was incredible in just revelation when I was reading about it, that a person born blind can actually dream with visual imagery. See, it goes beyond, what makes sense. It goes beyond the norm, right? So number one is the significance of the seeing realm. You need to tap into the seeing realm. You need to tap into that stream of revelation and insight. Number two is recognizing that it is a language for the last days. Now, Acts 2 verse 17 says, and it shall come to pass in the last days, says God, that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters will prophesy. Your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. Now, this has been a mystery to me for a long time. I'm like, God, what does it mean, your old men shall dream dreams, because we know that everyone dreams. There's a track record of God speaking to people of all ages through dreams. And so why is it saying that in the last days, which we are in, your old men shall dream dreams? This is not about age, but about maturity. There is a maturity in the spirit to consistently receive words from the Lord, receive messages from God through your dreams. What do I mean by that? God does not speak to waste words. God does not speak to entertain. God does not speak to gossip. There are moments where in the mercy of God, he's trying to get a message to you, right? Because maybe of the significance and the magnitude of what needs to happen. But when you talk about consistently receiving from the Lord, there is a maturity to know how to handle the words of God, where you don't just discard them as random. You just don't write it down and forget about it. God does not speak to waste words. So there is a place of maturity for the believer where we can be in a position that we are constantly receiving messages from God. Now, this is so significant because even in the Lord's Prayer, Jesus would talk about, give us this day our daily bread. When you study the life of Jesus and you recognize when he talks about food, that he's not just talking about natural food, when he even, especially that concept of bread, that he's talking about spiritual food. Give us this day the word that we need that will sustain us for the day. Give us this day the revelation and insight that will give us direction for how to move. Even before we see the Lord's Prayer, why did the disciples ask Jesus to teach them how to pray? Because they saw that Jesus moved with such efficiency. He moved with such precision. He knew exactly what he needed to do in a day, where to go, who to heal, who to speak to. His life was not random. His life had precision. And so daily, when he would commune with God, he was receiving the daily bread for what he ought to do. That's why in the language of Jesus, he would say things like, we must go through this town, right? We must go here. I have need for this, because he's already received a download from the Father, and you can too. That you can be in a position where daily you can receive from God. One of the things that I strongly stand by is that each night is an opportunity to receive the will of God. Each night is an opportunity for God's will to be revealed. And each day is an opportunity for it to be lived out. You can receive his will at night. You can live it out in the day. When you study the book of Genesis, the evening started the day. And so at the start of the day, you can receive the will of God through receiving messages from God concerning your life, right? And so number 2, it's a language of the last days, but we must be mature to step into it, right? And these are the things that I'm teaching in the book. Number 3, 1/3 of your life is spent sleeping. The average person sleeps for 26 years of their life. Do you realize that some people don't even live up to 26 years? And the average person sleeps for 26 years of their life. Here's the thing. You are never out of the presence of God. And God did not design sleep just for the body to gain rest. He also designed that state for you to also continue to commune with him, to continue to have encounters with him. You can make your bed an altar. That it's not just your body getting rest, but the place of communion can continue with the Lord. And you see, when you tap into the power of your dreams, you redeem time. There are things that when the Lord begins to reveal to you, because I'm talking about being in a stream of revelation, right? That in the state where you are, your busyness is out of the way. Your bias is out of the way, in the state that the Lord has the most liberty to plant the seed of his word in you, you can receive a word that will change your life. There are different ways that there are different reasons that God speaks. He can speak to warn. He can speak to bring creative vision. He can speak to release strategy. He can speak to bring impartation. He can speak to reveal future events. He can speak to give you an advantage in life. So you always want to posture yourself in a place that you are in the stream of revelation from God. One of the things that, the Lord had spoken to me about, for example, ministry, and I didn't know how things were going to happen. I was just simply being obedient to his word. And one of the things that literally launched me into ministry was my first book. I wrote a book called Moving Forward. And that book came to me, the name of the book, the revelation for the book, and details concerning the book was an instruction I received from a dream. And when I woke up, I didn't just think it was random. I knew that there's been a consistent pattern of knowing that you don't play with the voice of God, and to discern, right, the difference. And that's another thing, because we talk in the book, we'll talk about how you can discern the difference between who sent the message. Was it God? Was it the enemy? Or did it come from you? Right. And that goes into the whole part of spiritual maturity. But it was a dream that gave me that revelation. And I remember waking up, praying into it. I'm like, God, my life feels stagnant, and you want me to write a book about moving forward? The Holy Spirit confirmed it. And I wrote that book, and that book became like the final puzzle piece that the Lord used to usher me into ministry. Right. But it came from a dream. There's so many stories I can tell you. God has saved me literally from death, literally, not in like this hypothetical way or whatever. No, literally from death, because of a message he gave me through a dream. And there's so many things that the Lord wants to reveal to his people. You have to know that Jesus did not die for you to not speak to you. He desires to speak to you. He desires to commune with you on a consistent basis, right? And the beauty with dreams is you already dream. Every single night, everyone dreams. It's scientifically proven. The problem is you don't remember your dreams. And part of that is because, you see, sometimes when we think about dreams, we're thinking about, there's certain spiritual habits that we must be intentional with, right? Number one is prayer. And why I say prayer is for many reasons, but for example, have you